Andy Bartlett, everybody.
Thank you so much. Good evening. It's an absolute privilege to be asked to open. Hi. I'm not sure what I can do with that. I've never had one. Sit. I hope that belongs to someone. That's amazing. I've only got 10 minutes, so I'm going to be quick. I wanted to talk about an adventure that I went on and tell one particular story from that. But before I start, I just want to do a bit of call and response with you guys. I'm going to say something, and I'm hoping that maybe you might know the correct response. Okay, so knock, knock. Heidi, hi. Oh, you're good. Nice to see you, Nice. This is amazing. Oggy, oggy, oggy. Who let the dogs out? Ah, phenomenal. We've all come from different places in the world, in the country. We've all got different parents. Most of us have got different parents, I'd imagine. We went to different schools, different upbringings, different jobs, and there are some things that just bind us together, that intrinsically we know, and as one voice and as one group, we can respond to as one. We're all so unique. All those things I talked about, our parents, our schools, our jobs, all went into getting you here today. All the decisions you've ever made in life brought you to this point. That's crazy. One simple, small decision. As Dave said, I went on a camp out 2.5 years ago, the second one where I first met Dave. If for whatever reason my bike had got a puncture, I had left work late, I possibly wouldn't be here. About, I think 2 weeks later, went to the third and was sat around the fire, and Dave loves asking the question, what's your passion project? What do you love in life? What gets you excited more than anything else? I want to find something that will take me away for 2, 3, 4, 6 months and go and do something. And sat 2 spaces down from me was Kate Davis, who was here, I think maybe is in the bar. And she said, hey, I want to go on an adventure as well. And we came up with this idea to stand-up paddleboard the length of the Danube River from its source in the Black Sea in Germany, 3,000 kilometers through 10 countries, 4 capital cities, all the way to the Black Sea. Now, I know what you're thinking. You look quite athletic, Andy. You must be very good at sport. You must be very adventurous and athletic. And the truth is that neither of us were many of those things or any of those things. I think between us we had a cumulative total of 5 hours worth of paddleboarding experience before we stood next to that river and went for it. But I was lied to as a child. I was lied to. Has anyone come across or ever read the Choose Your Own Adventure books? Has anyone heard of them? You start reading the first chapter and you get to the end of the chapter and you get a choice. And it might be, do you want to go through a door or do you want to go down a corridor? Do you want to climb up the mountain or do you want to swim in a lake? And depending on your choice, it tells you to turn to a different page in the book. And as you go through, you can make different choices along the way, and eventually you succeed or you fail. But of course, what you do as a kid is every time you make a choice, you put your finger in the page and you keep reading, and then you find out in 2 chapters' time that you made a really bad decision and you died. So you go back to where you made the wrong decision and you start again and you keep reading and you make different choices until you finally succeed in the book. Wouldn't it have been amazing if life was like that? Every time you got to the end and, well, not died, but made a wrong decision, you could go back and flip and get to that point. But the story I want to tell you shows you the absolute best of what an adventure can be, and also the absolute worst. We pulled up to camp, as we had done every night, on the banks of a river. We met some amazing people. It was a Sunday afternoon. They'd been out barbecuing and enjoying themselves. It was mid-late July, so the temperatures were really high. It was really good fun. They were barbecuing, they're having some drinks. Super friendly. One of the guys there gave us a lift into town. I went and bought some bread. I got taken to someone's house. They made me take some of their homemade schnapps with them. So super friendly. The exact epitome of everything we had come across and discovered on the adventure. And slowly they packed up their stuff and everyone made their way home, and one family had come in a tractor with a huge trailer and literally 20 people piled in the back, and they potted off back up the path towards their village, which was about 3 miles up the track. And one by one they left, and eventually there was just Kate, myself, and another guy, the guy who had given us a lift into town, and we cooked our food, and the light was coming down, and as big a party animal as I am, on adventures you generally like going to bed early. Sleep is your friend. Food is amazing. So we cooked our food, we washed up, and we went to bed and waved our new friend goodbye. And then about 2 hours later, we just saw some headlights coming back down the track. And I don't know what it is, but I just knew something wasn't right about that. And as they came closer and closer, they eventually pulled up right next to our tents. And there was nothing else around here. There was no reason for people to be in this position. And 3 guys got out, and sure enough, they started calling our names. Andy, Kate, come out of your tents, come out of your tents. They'd obviously had a few drinks. They started shouting a bit louder. They came up, looked in my tent, started rattling it. We're going up to Kate's tent, rattling that. And bit by bit, it just got a little bit more aggressive. I've just been told I got 2 minutes. That's so not going to happen. Waited 3 years for this stage. I ain't giving it up for 2 minutes. But eventually they went to Kate's tent and started to unzip her tent. And at that point, you knew you've got to do something. So put on some pants. I thought that was a good plan. Put on some shorts, T-shirt, and got outside and just started going, guys, what are you doing? We're not going to come out drinking with you. Thanks so much. We're British. We're polite. Thank you, but it's not going to happen. Please just leave. We're going to get some sleep. We've got an early start. We've got a lot of miles to do. That didn't work. They kept egging us on to have a drink, and eventually turned the music on, opened their car doors, and the stereo was blaring. And so I asked again, please just leave. And then it snapped so quickly. And that's when the punches started flying. And that's when I got physically attacked by the one guy out of the 3. It hit me, and I went down to the ground. Kate tried to come out and help me, but was held in a tent by one of the other guys. And eventually I managed to crawl off and get back down to the river and hide from them a little bit in the darkness. At that point, they got in the car, drove off. Kate and I regrouped. We were sussing out our plans. We couldn't go anywhere. We'd had to deflate one of our paddle boards because it had a puncture and needed a repair. Even to pack down the tent and inflate a broken paddle board would take a good hour. We were just coming up with an idea of what we should do, and then we saw the headlights coming back again. So we left the tent. Kate ran. I hid again. They came right up to the tent, were looking in, calling us by name. And then left. And it was at this point you think, what do you do? In the middle of a country you don't know, in the middle of a country you don't speak the language of. And then I remembered, for the first and only time on the entire trip, the guy who had given us a lift to go and buy some bread, not only had I given him my phone number, I had taken his. I don't know why. It was the only time it ever happened that I took someone's phone number. And so I called him and I sent him text message. I said, we've been attacked. Please get the police, come and help. And he did. And about an hour later, the police came. 2 policemen in a Vauxhall Astra with 2 heavy, big-set guys in the back as a bit of local muscle and bulk. And on the way, my contact had made them pick him up as well. So there were 5 of them in this Vauxhall. And they came, and they couldn't have been more friendly. Our contact translated. They found out what had happened and said, you're not staying here, you're coming into the town with us. And so we packed up all our stuff, and now the 7 of us get back in the car with our paddleboards and all our kit. And the policeman says, you're staying in my house tonight. There's no questions about this. You're coming back to my house. So he took us back to his house and opened it up, and he'd forewarned his wife that we were coming. And Kate very kindly gave up the sofa for me. She kept on her airbed on the floor. And we knew we were safe, and that sense of relief was palpable and just amazing. But the real heartwarming moment of the whole experience came the next morning, because the policeman had a young son. He was about 5. And his dad had obviously told him that there were some people sleeping on their sofa. They didn't speak the same language as him, but they'd been hurt. And so we were being looked after. And I was sat on the sofa where I'd been sleeping, and we just saw the door. It just creaked open a little bit, and this face peered round, just really inquisitively looking at us, just kind of figuring out why there were people where normally he'd be playing and watching TV in the morning. And he kind of sussed out the scene, and I think realized that maybe we weren't too dangerous, and then just very slowly but purposely walked over to us, and right at my eye height, looked me straight in the eyes. And not one of those just casual glances, but when someone looks right into you just to really see what you're thinking. He gave me one of those big, long, deep stares. And then just grabbed me and wrapped his arms around me. buried his head in my chest and just held on. And just held on. And he just held on so tight. And I don't know whether it was 30 seconds or a minute, but eventually let go, stood up, and he looked at me and just almost nodded and went, "That'll do. I've done my job." And just ran out of the room, ran outside. But I just loved that childhood innocence of being told that someone is hurt, thinking what happens and what makes me feel better when I'm hurt. I know a hug. Hugs are amazing. People are amazing. And kids are amazing. If anyone is thinking about going on an adventure, go and do it. Figure out what you want to do. Don't copy someone else. And go and enjoy the amazing people and the amazing places on this planet. Thank you so much.